We're just a few weeks away from the start of the Minnesota legislative session. There'll be a lot of things on the agenda. A year like this, typically bonding is the biggest issue up there, and it could be a huge bonding bill, and there's going to be some projects Becker County's will be looking for. But we'll touch on that at another time, because really what I want to talk about today is a long-going problem we have here in the Lakes area, and that has to do with the battle against aquatic invasive species. This upcoming legislative session will mark the fourth or fifth legislative session since zebra mussels were first discovered in Pelican Lake, and the third or fourth one that's gone on since really people in this area started to become very active in the fight against aquatic invasive species, which really goes back to even the Flowering Rush, Crush the Rush campaign of a few years prior to even the whole zebra mussels being discovered on Pelican Lake and unfortunately in several other lakes in the area. I have the privilege of talking with the gentleman from the Minnesota Coalition of Lake Associations about the overall legislative agenda that the lake associations would like to see going forward. And obviously it's heavily focused on controlling aquatic invasive species. But everything they want to do, and frankly most things people want to do when it comes to protecting the lakes and ensuring our future here in the lakes area, has to do with money. Where's it going to come from? Our budgets are tight, we know. Of course, Minnesota last legislative session had a $2 billion increase in taxes. We are looking at a surplus this year, surplus big enough that Governor Dayton is even considering repealing some taxes. Now, I'm not even suggesting taking that surplus and spending that on the fight against aquatic invasive species, although I won't lie, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Frankly, I'd like to see that money used for bonding. But there is a source of tax money right now being collected that is untouched, that I think is perfect, prime, and should be used to battle against aquatic invasive species, and not a single penny of it is being used right now for that. And that has to do with money from the Legacy Amendment. That's that little bit of a sales tax that we voted in back in, I think it was 2008, about 3/5 of a cent, I think it is. It creates hundreds of millions of dollars a year in the state of Minnesota for conservation efforts. However, a lot of it seems to be sucked up by certain organizations, especially having to do with ducks, pheasant, and other different kinds of hunting populations, and also other recreational water usages. However, none of it is going to actually help prevent the spread or treat lakes currently right now infested with aquatic invasive species. And the list of these lakes continues to grow every single year. Why is this money not being used for that? The Clean Water Legacy Amendment? Hello, clean water. Now the argument is that yes, it's to treat and protect waters that are already clean. Well, what about those that need to be protected from stuff coming in? I don't understand why that isn't considered a protection of clean water. I also don't understand why not using some of that money would hurt in some way other organizations. They seem to be doing okay. A lot of people voted for this tax because they wanted to protect and ensure the environment in the future. Well, if we're not going to use a single penny of it to combat aquatic invasive species and other parasites that are infesting our waterways, forever changing the way we do things in the lakes area, then what the heck were we really voting for there? Then it turns out to just be another example of a tax wasted by our state government. No, I don't want to see that. And we have several local legislators that represent us right here in the lakes area that see this argument, and they want that Lessard Sam's Fund money tapped into. In fact, Governor Dayton was going to give us $3 million to help fight aquatic invasive species, and at the very last minute reneged under pressure from some of those hook and gun clubs down there in the Twin Cities. We need money, yes, and I don't want to see taxes go up to fight aquatic invasive species. I don't want to see it shift on all the cities, and I don't want to see it shift onto all the property owners. This is a funding source the state has right now. Needs to be tapped, should be tapped. It's morally the right thing to do. And I think this would be the year that the state of Minnesota needs to seriously look at doing it.